Hey guys, it's Gwen, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a television show that aired from 1997 to 2003 on the WB network and later the UPN network, and it was created by Joss Whedon. It's about a girl named Buffy Summers, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is the Vampire Slayer. One girl in the other world who is chosen to kill vampires, demons, and the forces of darkness. Buffy and her friends Willow, Xander, and Cordelia live in Sunnydale, California, which sits on the Hellmouth, a gateway to the demons. Willow Rosenberg, played by Allison Hannigan, is Buffy's best friend, who later becomes a witch who practices magic. Xander Harris, played by Nicholas Brenton, is Buffy's other best friend, who is conceived as everyman, comic relief, and Joss Whedon's self-insert character. Cordelia Chase, played by Charisma Carpenter, is originally a rich mean girl who acts as a foil to Buffy, but later becomes an ally to the Scooby Gang and stars in the spin-off series to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel. In every season, there's a big bad, which is the main villain that Buffy has to defeat that season. In season 1, the big bad is the Master, a centuries-old vampire who wants to open the Hellmouth. In season 2, the big bad is Spike and Drusilla, who are both vampires, and later on Angelus, who is Angel's soulless and evil alter ego. In season 3, the big bad is the Mayor Richard Wilkins, who wants to take over the world and wants to do so by becoming a giant snake. In season 4, the big bad is the Initiative, a government organization run by Buffy's psychology professor Maggie Walsh, who created a secret project Adam, who wants to create an army of demonoids to take over the world. In season 5, the big bad is Glorificus, also known as Glory, a goddess who wants to open all the gates between dimensions and sacrifice the Slayer's younger sister Dawn, who is the key to opening the gates. In season 6, the big bad is the Trio, which consists of Andrew Wells, Jonathan Levinson, and the relentless and murderous leader Warren Mears, who aims to kill Buffy Summer. And the death of Willow's girlfriend, Tara Maclay, through a stray bullet, leads Willow to become Dark Willow, who kills Warren, goes against the two remaining members, Andrew and Jonathan, and battles her own friends in the Scooby Gang, bringing about the beginning of her own apocalypse. In season 7, the big bad is the first evil, who wants to completely eliminate the line of Slayers. Buffy has 3 major love interests on the show: Angel, Riley, and Spike. Buffy's first love interest is Angel, who's played by David Boreanaz, a vampire who is cursed with a soul through a gypsy curse, so he would feel remorse for the pain he caused as Angelus, the most sadistic vampire in European history. If Angel achieves a moment of perfect happiness, he would lose his soul and become Angelus, who is the soulless version of Angel. Riley, played by Mark Lucas, is Buffy's second love interest, who is the antithesis of Angel, who is brooding, mysterious, and pensive. Riley, on the other hand, is optimistic, trustworthy, and reliable, and unlike Angel and Spike, is human like Buffy. However, along with being a teaching assistant, Riley is part of the Initiative, a government-sponsored special operations team, which both researches and combats the demons which roam Sunnydale, and is run by Maggie Walsh, Buffy's psychology professor. Buffy's third love interest is Spike, a vampire who starts off as a villain and becomes an anti-hero, trickster, and later a romantic interest for Buffy Summers. Spike was initially intended to be a brief villain, but Spike became so popular that he became a major love interest for Buffy Summers, despite Joss Whedon not wanting to have a major vampire love interest like Angel. Joss Whedon said that Spike is the most fully developed of his characters. James Marsters, who plays Spike, said that Spike was supposed to be dirty and evil, punk rock, and then dead, but the character ended up staying throughout the second season and beyond, and returning in the 4th season to replace Cordelia as the character who told Buffy she was stupid and about to die. Another important character on Buffy the Vampire Slayer is Buffy's watcher Giles, who guides, teaches, and trains her. Okay, in season 1 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, there are only 12 episodes because Buffy was a mid-season replacement for Savannah, which was a soap opera created by Constance M. Birch and produced by Aaron Spelling. Buffy Summers moves from Los Angeles, California to Sunnydale, and she just wants to be a normal teenager. Back in Los Angeles, Buffy's first watcher died, and she inadvertently burned down the school gymnasium at her old high school, Hemery High. And her parents, Joyce and Hank Summers, got a divorce. The move to Sunnydale was supposed to give Buffy a fresh start and a clean slate, but she meets her new watcher, Giles, who is a school librarian, and learns there is no escaping her destiny as a Slayer. As I said before, the main villain is the Master, who is threatening to rise and kill the Slayer Buffy, and also open the Hellmouth. So Buffy and her friends have to stop the Master, and Buffy briefly dies before being resurrected by her friends. In season 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Buffy returns from a summer vacation spent with her father after her death at the hands of the Master, and she is strangely withdrawn and snappy. She's determined to break off her relationship with Angel and seems a little too eager to renew her Slayer training, but getting Angel out of her blood proves to be harder than she thought. And as the two draw even closer together, their passion erupts a danger neither of them could have foreseen, affecting not only the vampire Angel and the Slayer Buffy, but all of Buffy's friends and family. So in this season, Buffy and Angel consummate their relationship and have sex, which turns Angel into Angelus, which is the evil and soulless form of Angel. And Buffy has to send her boyfriend Angel to a hell dimension in order to stop him from taking over the world. In season 3, Buffy returns from the big city, Los Angeles, to find her friends have been battling the forces of evil without her. As she struggles to regain her mother's and her friends' trust, a new Slayer named Faith arrives in town, quickly winning over all of Buffy's friends. But Faith's arrival is just the beginning of new forces Buffy must face, for a few nights later she encounters Angel, who has somehow returned, feral and violent, from the hellish demon dimension where Buffy had sent him in season 2. But the real demon Buffy must ultimately face is the mayor, who is preparing a special graduation surprise for Sunnydale High. In season 4 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Buffy begins college at UC Sunnydale, feeling completely overwhelmed. But once the monsters show up, it's just like old times. Then she starts dating Riley, a handsome commander who's battling the same monsters. He's part of a secret organization called the Initiative, and Buffy is all too happy to join the team. However, she soon suspects that the Initiative may be more dangerous than the monsters that they're supposed to be battling. In season 5, after an unsettling encounter with the vampire Dracula, Buffy asks Giles to once again be her watcher. Luckily, he agrees, for Buffy is about to face mortal problems far more threatening than the undead. The sudden appearance of a sister named Dawn. So, Dawn is a character that's introduced in season 5. However, the characters act like she's been here all along, which has confused some of the viewers, but we later learn that she is the key to opening a dimension to a portal to all the dimensions, which is why Glory wants to get Dawn, who is the key to all the dimensions. And by the way, Glory is the main villain of season 5 because she's a goddess who wants to open all the hell dimensions. So Buffy has to stop her by sacrificing herself. Also, in season 5, there's the episode The Body, where Buffy's mother, Joyce Summers, dies through a mysterious illness, which is a brain aneurysm. So she dies not of anything supernatural, but by natural causes. So it produced one of the saddest episodes in Buffy history, where Buffy finds her mom dead and has to deal with the aftermath of losing her mother. And also, she grows closer to Spike in this season, and Spike will be one of Buffy's major love interests later on. Then an undefeatable demon appears, forcing Buffy to turn to an ancient spirit guide who tells her that love is her greatest gift and power. In season 6, elated with having Buffy back from the dead, her friends never wonder if she may have been in a better place. But Buffy was actually ripped out of heaven when Willow and her other friends brought her back from the dead. Only Spike knows the truth, and as Buffy struggles to readjust to life, she begins a relationship with Spike that torments her as much as it brings her fleeting comfort. Yet even as Buffy fears that the magic that brought her back has suddenly somehow changed her, Willow's growing reliance on magic is an addiction she can barely control and one that threatens everyone. In season 7, as Buffy accompanies Dawn on her first day at the new Sunnydale High, Giles continues Willow's magic education in England. But while Buffy is surprised to be offered a guidance counselor job, Willow is shocked to experience a horrific future vision of the Hellmouth. Willow returns to Sunnydale, and Giles soon follows with word that the Watchers Council has been destroyed. Determined to make one last stand, Buffy and her allies gather for the upcoming battle. Yet nothing can prepare them for the first and his robed bringers, who are killing all of the potential slayers and anyone else who gets in their way. Okay, now let's go over the characters of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. First of all, we have Buffy herself. She's played by Sarah Michelle Gellar, and she's the protagonist of the series, which depicts her life and adventures as she grows up. She's at first a high school cheerleader who learns that she's the Slayer, who's the chosen one, gifted with the strength and skills to fight vampires and the forces of darkness as a vampire and demon hunter. Buffy carries out her destiny in the small town of Sunnydale, which is built atop a portal to Hell, which is the Hellmouth, surrounded by her friends and family. Another important character is Willow Rosenberg. She's played by Allison Hannigan, and Willow is part of Buffy's group of friends called the Scooby Gang, who support Buffy Summers, a teenager gifted with superhuman powers to defeat vampires, demons, and other evil in the fictional town of Sunnydale. Willow starts out as a shy, nerdy girl with little confidence, but learns she has inherent magical abilities and begins to study witchcraft. As the series progresses, Willow becomes more sure of herself and her magical power becomes significant. However, her dependence on magic becomes so consuming that it develops into a dark force that takes her on a redemptive journey in a major story arc when she becomes the 6th season's main villain, threatening to destroy the world and fit in grief and rage after losing Tara, her girlfriend, through a stray bullet that Warren, the main antagonist in season 6, intended for Buffy. Another important character is Xander Harris. Xander Lavelle Harris, who's played by Nicholas Brendan, is Buffy's other best friend and part of the Scooby Gang, and he's based in part on Joss Whedon himself, particularly in his high school years. He is often the most geeky as well as witty and verbose of Buffy's characters. The character's overriding arc through the series has been a struggle towards maturity and earning the respect of others, particularly Buffy and the rest of the Scooby Gang. Another important character is Cordelia Chase, played by Charisma Carpenter. Cordelia is introduced as one of Sunnydale's popular students, attending school alongside vampire slayer Buffy Summers. Through her interactions with Buffy, she and her friends, she comes to accept the existence of supernatural forces and helps Buffy fight against them. Cordelia moves to Buffy's spin-off series, Angel, where she joins Angel, a heroic vampire with a soul, in forming a detective agency, Angel Investigations, dedicated to stopping supernatural forces and helping the helpless. After Cordelia acquires the ability to see visions of those in need, she becomes a more compassionate and heroic character on Angel, which is a spin-off series to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Another important character is Rupert Giles, Buffy's Watcher. He's played by Anthony Stewart Head, and his primary role in the series is to be a watcher to Buffy in her capacity as a vampire slayer. He's employed by the Watchers Council, which is a British organization that attempts to oversee the actions of the Slayer. From youth, Giles was expected to follow the family tradition and become a watcher, though as a teenager and young adult he rebelled, dropping out of Oxford University to experiment in dark magic in the rock music scene until a bereavement brought him to his senses. In adulthood, his loyalty to Buffy and her group of friends cost him his job for a time. As the series progresses, Giles becomes a father figure to Buffy. Played by David Boreanaz, Angel was born as Liam in 18th century Ireland, and after being sired, assumed the name Angelus, achieving infamy as the most sadistic vampire in European history. After angering a Romani clan, he was cursed with his human soul, leading to great personal torment and the decision to resist the evil impulses that come with being a vampire. He later assumes the shortened name Angel, and over the course of Buffy and Angel the spin-off series, he matures into an altruistic champion of mankind and learns he is a central figure in the apocalypse. Another important character is Spike. He's played by James Marsters. He was born as William, an unsuccessful aspiring poet in the Victorian era, and who was mocked and called William the Bloody because of his bloody, awful poetry. Sired by the vampire Drusilla, who's played by Juliet Landau, William became an unusually passionate and romantic vampire, being very violent and ready to battle, but not as cruel as his companions. Alongside Drusilla, Darla, played by Julie Benz, and Angelus, played by David Boreanaz, Giles thinks William acquired the nickname Spike for his preferred method of torturing people with railroad spikes, but it is revealed it is because his poetry was so bad you could stick a railroad spike through your head. Riley Finn is another important character. He's played by Mark Lucas. Riley is Buffy's love interest in the 4th and 5th seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and he's seemingly Buffy's first chance at a normal relationship. However, he leads a double life. He is both teaching assistant at UC Sunnydale and a member of the Initiative, a government-sponsored special operations team which both researches and combats the demons which roam Sunnydale. This allows him to interact with Buffy both in her civilian life and assist her with her duties as a Slayer. While Buffy has supernatural powers associated with her role, Riley must rely instead on his extensive military training. Another important character is Anya Jenkins. She's played by Emma Caulfield, and she's also known as Anyanka, a vengeance demon who wreaks havoc by granting the wishes of women wronged by men. In her first appearance in the episode The Wish, she becomes trapped in human form and is forced to relearn what it means to be human in subsequent episodes. Anya is unaware of social conventions and speaks bluntly and honestly. Flashbacks reveal that she was much the same before becoming a vengeance demon. Another important character is Dawn Summers. She's played by Michelle Trachtenberg, and she is Buffy's younger sister, who is introduced at the start of the 5th season after years of foreshadowing as part of a large in-story retcon. Characters accepted Dawn's presence as if she had always been there, and as if Buffy always had a sister, with only the audience aware that this was not the case. As the series went on, the significance of Dawn's arrival is revealed to be the series' other characters, and they come to understand that she hasn't always been Buffy's sister, or indeed a sentient being. Dawn had originally been the mystical key to opening the dimensions. Tara Maclay is played by Amber Benson, and she's a shy young woman with magical talents who falls in love with Willow Rosenberg, one of the core characters. Together they help Buffy Summers, who has been given superhuman powers, to defeat evil forces in the fictional town of Sunnydale. The last important character I'm going to cover is Faith Lehane. She's played by Eliza Dushku, and she's another vampire slayer who's called after Kendra, a vampire slayer, is killed. She's a girl endowed with supernatural abilities and destined to battle evil creatures such as vampires and demons. Created as a foil to the protagonist, Buffy Summers, she's a slayer who comes from a damaged background and often makes the wrong decisions. Initially an ally to the main characters, events take a toll on Faith's sanity and she slips into a villainous role. Later storylines show her regaining her mental health that makes her remorseful for her past crimes, and with the benevolent vampire Angel's help, she eventually rejoins the side of good in the hopes of achieving redemption, reaching full maturity and becoming a hero in her own right. So I think that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this different style video, and let me know if this is something you want me to continue doing in the future. Anyways, make sure to subscribe and comment down below if you've watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer and what your favorite part of it is. And I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!